Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 709, Saturday, March the 21st, 2019. Thank you so much for tuning in. My oh my. Well, we certainly have some things to talk about today, don't we? Let's get started. Okay, so we have this person that a couple of you have heard about, many of you have heard about in the last couple of days, whose name popped up during the Michael Cohen hearings when Mark Meadows mentioned her, and she made a statement during the hearings, and since then everybody seems to know who Lynne Patton is, or most people were paying attention to the Cohen hearings. But something else has now come out from Ms. Patton. Now keep in mind, Ms. Patton apparently was a good friend of Michael Cohen, and it was Michael Cohen who I think introduced her to Trump and the Trump family. And I think she may have worked for the Trump organization. But now she's working for the Trump administration at HUD, Housing and Urban Development. And of course, I'm not going to go into the flap that went on during the hearings because that's another topic. But here's what's important about Lynne Patton today. It's a comment or a statement that she has made. Lynne Patton is stating that Michael Cohen turned on the president because Uncle Bob, the executioner, Mueller, threatened to throw his wife in jail for up to 30 years. Cohen's wife was the co-guarantor of a $20 million personal loan that Uncle Bob, the executioner, discovered. And one of the crimes he's going to jail for is making false statements to a financial institution. So basically what he did was he lied about the value of his ownership of the Medallion taxis. He lied about his financial interest in Medallion taxis and how much the value, how much money that he had invested in that type of thing. So he lied on this financial loan application for this $20 million loan. His wife co-signed the loan, which means that she's would be implicated as well in this fraud. Now we know that they gave his partner, because Cohen had a partner in this Medallion taxi investment, and they gave his partner immunity. And it's likely that his partner was granted immunity because he was probably threatened with indictment, and they probably said, hey, if you'll just roll over on Cohen, we'll cut you loose, which is exactly what he probably did. I don't know that to be a fact, but it seems pretty obvious when you look at how things turned out. He's given immunity. Well, why do you need immunity? You need immunity when you've committed a crime. So Cohen's partner is granted immunity. The next thing you know, Cohen is charged. And one of the things he's charged on is this deal here, which involved his partner, who was given immunity. And now it appears it involved his wife, co-signed on the loan. Therefore, stating would make her legally liable as well for misstating the value of the investment in this Medallion taxis. So she is saying, Lynne Patton is saying that the only reason that Cohen turned on Trump is because Uncle Bob, the executioner, his team, most likely Weissman would be my guess. This is a Weissman tactic. That Weissman basically told Cohen, if you don't roll over and cooperate, then we're going to toss your wife in jail for 30 years. And that is what Lynne Patton is saying happened. And she's sure enough about it to make the charge. And she said she knows for a fact that this is what happened. And she knows Cohen very well. And still likes Cohen. She's very disappointed in the direction things have gone for him. And still considers him a friend. But she says he probably had no choice. Now, who do you think told Lynne Patton this? I think it's pretty obvious who told Lynne Patton this. Had to be Michael Cohen. He had to tell her, hey, I'm sorry I got to roll on the president, but it's either him or my wife. Very interesting, especially considering the next thing that we're going to consider. Devin Nunes was on a panel at the CPAC convention, which is a conservative, sort of a conservative convention that happens once a year. And so he's there at CPAC, and he's on a panel, and he says, in regards to the Mueller investigation and the final report being released and given to Bob Barr, Attorney General Barr, and I guess the question or the conversation that they were discussing is, would Barr release the Mueller report, and how's that all going to work out, and this and that and the other thing. And so they're discussing all that. And in the context of that discussion, Devin Nunes says the following. And they're talking about if Uncle Bob, when he gives the report to Barr, if Barr chooses to release it to the Congress or to anyone else, to the public, or if he's just going to do a statement, or if he's going to write a paper on it or something, an overview of what happened or what have you. So they're discussing all this that may happen with the Mueller report. And Nunes says that all of Special Counsel Mueller's activities should be made public, in addition to whatever report he issues to Attorney General Barr. Nunes said that if the Mueller report is made public to Congress, then everything Mueller did should be made public, including his emails. Uncle Bob's emails. Wouldn't you like to see those emails? Including everybody they wiretapped. And everything that they used should be made public. Uh-oh, public. I'm sure that got a big loud pop. Can't say peas very loud. They go pop. So now I've done 3 pops in a row. Maybe 4 now. I'll try not to say P very hard. Okay, so this is very interesting. We know that the demo commies are pushing very, very hard, and even saying that they will take Mueller to court. They'll take it to the Supreme Court if they have to force Uncle Bob or to force Attorney General Barr to release or make public or available to the Congress the full Mueller report. Now, this is not done. Again, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I did it a week ago. Explained all this. You can Google it if you want. The Attorney General gets the report from a special counsel. Now, as is the case in all of these types of secret investigations, they talk to a lot of people. They interview a lot of people. They wiretap a lot of people. They look at a lot of documents. They look at a lot of evidence. But the only people that you get information on are people who actually were indicted. Only people who were indicted. Everyone else is kept secret because they're innocent. They didn't do anything. They weren't indicted. Therefore, to protect them, information about them will not be released. Okay? Because they did nothing wrong. They may have been investigated, but they were not found to have done anything wrong. So therefore, there's no reason to put them in the report. It protects people who've done nothing wrong. That's the whole idea. But the Democrats, of course, are balking at that and saying that they want the entire Uncle Bob special counsel report released to the Congress, every word of it, so that they can use it for political theater and to pursue a Trump impeachment in the Congress. Now, Attorney General Barr, as I said, will probably laugh at that, chuckle at that, water it up and throw it in the can. He will do what Attorney Generals do. He'll probably write some sort of a summary of the Mueller report, or someone on his staff will. He won't actually write it, but someone will write a summary, and it will only deal with the people who are actually indicted, or cases where charges were filed. If there were no charges filed, the person wasn't indicted, none of that's going to be released. But the Democrats want that. So what Nunes is saying is, oh yeah, well, if the Democrats force the release, and I don't think they can, but if they were to be successful at forcing the release of the entire Mueller special counsel report, then what Nunes is saying is that if that happened, then it would also be required that Mueller release every bit of the his activities, all of his activities, everyone they wiretapped, their methods, all the documents they looked at, everything that they used in his investigation to investigate all these individuals, not just the people indicted, but everyone that was investigated, and that's a lot of people, including everyone in Trump's family and Trump himself. So then Uncle Bob would have to release, he and his entire posse would have to release all their telephone conversations, all the documents that they looked at, all the witness testimony they took, and everything. So that's what Nunes, that's the point he's making. And it's a very good point. And it does stand to reason. If you're going to release the whole report to the Congress, then you can't just release the report to the Congress and say, here's all the people that were investigated or whatever, and then and not provide any of the evidence for why or how they came about falling into the target or the crosshairs of the investigation, and how was this pursued. This would all be things that would then be, should be, and likely would be made available to the public. Because if you're going to talk about the people who were investigated, then you need to show the evidence and all the activities that went on around the investigation, all things being equal and fair. And doesn't Barr believe in equal justice under the law? He must have said it a dozen times during the hearings. We're going to find out what Barr really believes very shortly. In fact, we should start keeping track of how many days he's been Attorney General and how many days it's been before he actually takes some action to pursue a little equal justice, which so far is nowhere to be found. Let's move on while you chew on that one for a while. Okay, well, it looks like Chief Spreading Bull Elizabeth Warren has been heckled again. And that's easy. I mean, I'm telling you, if you just watch like 2 minutes of Elizabeth Warren's speech, the woman has no charisma. Her voice goes up whenever she tries to make a point and be forceful. Her voice goes up about an octave, and then her eyes bug around, and she looks crazy. The woman looks crazy. She's not raising any money. When Bernie entered the race, she was toast because she was running on the Bernie platform. But you know, she's a Bernie copy. But once Bernie threw his hat in the ring, you don't need a Bernie copy. You got the real thing. So she's not raising any money. She's getting heckled everywhere she goes. And this particular heckle was a pretty good one. So she's talking about why we need Medicare for all, and how if we all just chip in a couple of nickels, everybody can have great health care. Free health care for everybody if we all just chip in a couple of nickels. Couple nickels. That's all. And so someone heckled her by saying basically to her that, well, wait a minute. We could all chip in a couple of nickels, but how would that help those aborted children that you just voted against to protect? You just voted against a law to protect children who survive an abortion attempt. Because there was a bill recently that she voted, along with 52 other Democrats, or 53 other Democrats, a total of 54 Democrats, I believe, voted against a bill that says if they attempt to abort a child and the child is born and the abortion is not successful, should they be able to go ahead and kill the child anyway? Oh, we meant to abort the child, but damn, it was born alive. We'll just kill it. We meant to kill it in the first place. 54 Democrats, including Chief Spreading Bull, voted against that. So this individual heckling her was saying, "Yeah, well, how would Medicare for all help that unborn fetus, help that child who had just been born to survive if you and other Democrats have voted against a bill to save that child? Medicare for all wouldn't help that infant, would it?" and it kind of caught her off guard. And she came back and said that infanticide is illegal in all 50 states. Infanticide is illegal everywhere in America. That's what she said. Yeah, it's illegal everywhere in America. She's twisting it, though, because if someone goes to have an abortion, and in certain states now, like New York, you can have an abortion up until the exact time of birth. If they attempt an abortion and it fails and the child survives the abortion attempt and comes out, alive, they want to be able to go ahead and kill the child. It's like, uh-oh, we meant to kill it, but it survived. It was born alive, so we got to kill it. And that's what they were talking about. And she knows very well that's what they were talking about. This extreme position on abortion is going to sink every one of these Democrats that sided for it, which is damn near every one of them. Because there's one thing Americans will draw the line on. Even Democrats who support, pro-choice position, only up to the first trimester. When you start getting the second, third, fourth trimester, or third trimester, when you get to that point, you see the numbers, even among Democrats, drops like a rock. Drops like a rock. It's less than 10%. Less of 10% of the people in the country support late-term abortion. And damn near every one of the Democrat candidates up to this point are running on supporting late-term abortion. So, there you go. She's a train wreck, man. The entire Democratic primary is a train wreck, and it's only going to get better, my friends. We are watching a complete freak show, and it's only going to get freakier, I can assure you that. In fact, speaking of the same, let's see here. Well, it appears that Commie Bernie has a new press secretary. Yes, Commie Bernie has a new press secretary, and as it turns out, she is an illegal immigrant. Her name is Balin Sisa, S-I-S-A. She's, of course, a hardcore socialist activist, a commie, whose parents brought her to America illegally when she was 6 from that socialist hellhole, Argentina. Used to be a fascist hellhole back in during World War II. They actually had fascist king and queen type that ran the place. Very good friends of Hitler. In fact, so good friends of Hitler were they contributed lots of money to him, sent gifts back and forth, had conversation, letters and such. When the war was going bad for Germany, they actually told Hitler, hey, if you come here, we'll set you up right. We'll give you a nice mansion with a beautiful countryside and a lake and the whole 9 yards, a mountain view. When this woman, the wife of the king of Argentina at the time, on her birthday, one of her birthdays, Hitler sent her the first Mercedes off the line. Very, very close. There's even been rumors that Hitler actually hopped on a submarine and went to Argentina, and that he never was actually died in the bunker, in the Fuhrer bunker, that he and Eva Braun fled to Argentina. Some people say he lived out his life there in Argentina. There's various stories about that and documentaries that have been done. I don't know. I have no idea. But we do know that they were very good. Hitler was very, very close to the king and queen of what was fascist Argentina at the time. But they evolved into just a commie country, and that's where this activist came from when she was 6. So her parents flee that socialist hellhole Argentina to get away from that system, to come here, and now she, having grown up here in America, has decided that she wants to advocate for the very policies in America that caused her parents to leave that shithole Argentina, socialist country. She wants to advocate for the same thing that caused her parents to leave there to come here. That's what they do. They vote for socialists. When the socialists destroy their country, they flee here and try to get us to adopt the very same policies that drove them out of the hellhole they left. That's a head scratcher. That's a head scratcher. You'd think it would be just the opposite. You think, man, thank God we got out of that socialist hellhole, and now we're in America. This is great. No, 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 no. No, they leave the socialist hellhole, come here, and then do like this nut, Balin Sisa, and she says, America is a white supremacist country. And like Bernie, of course, she wants America to be a sanctuary country. She wants a sanctuary country. Of course, she's currently being protected and is able to stay in the country by DACA. DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Signed by, I believe, executive order by Barack Hussein Obama. How about that? You know, again, just adds to the freak show. Now, Bernie has no chance. I don't care if 99 or I don't care if 100% of Democrats in the Democratic Party, Demo-Commie Party, supported Bernie. The DNC doesn't care. The DNC can walk into their private meeting at the convention. It's okay. Well, everybody wants Bernie. We don't care. We don't like him. We're going to go with so-and-so. How about the Rotten Reverend? How about a rematch in 2020? Let's all get behind that. Bernie will. Sure he will. He's growing that donor list. That's his retirement. That's Bernie's retirement plan. That's Bernie's retirement plan. It's his list, his donor list, and he wants to grow it big as he can. These commies don't even realize that Bernie knows he can't win. Probably doesn't even want the damn job. All he wants to do is grow the donor list. This is Bernie's retirement plan. His donor list. And they don't even know it. Here this guy didn't even have the stones to stand up to the Rotten Reverend Clinton, has no courage whatsoever. He let a couple of commies take over his microphone and did nothing. And the guy has no backbone. He has no balls. He wouldn't fight for anything. There's nothing Bernie would fight for. He ain't going to fight for Medicare for all. He's not going to fight for $15 an hour. He's not going to fight for nothing. He's setting up that retirement plan, that $20 million donor list that the Democrats want desperately to buy from him. That's the game, my friends. If you're a socialist, commie lover, commie Bernie lover, wake up. The funny thing here is that she can't even vote for Bernie. His new press secretary cannot even vote for him. What a freak show, man. I hope you guys are laughing. I am inside, believe me. I'm busting the gut on the inside. What a freak show. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Uh-oh. New evidence. Not even really new evidence. I believe that this was kicked about a year and a half ago. But it's kind of coming back. It's making a second round, I guess. I don't know. But let's cover it again. Because I remember covering it the first time. And it's definitely something that I think should have been looked into, but never was. Maybe someone will look into this time, Mr. Barr. Are you listening, Mr. Barr? Yes, Mr. Chairman. Will you investigate this, Mr. Barr? Yes, Mr. Chairman. Okay. John Podesta and the Rotten Reverend were caught in perpetuating the fake Russia hoax, which Podesta claims he knew nothing about until BuzzFeed released their dossier. But let's take a look at a couple tweets, shall we? Podesta tweeted the following. Donald Trump has a secret email server set up to communicate privately with the Russian Alpha Bank. Say that again. It was a tweet by Podesta. Donald Trump has a secret email server set up to communicate privately with a Russian Alpha Bank. And he leaves a link to an article in Slate. The time of his tweet, 4:44 p.m., October 31st, 2016. 4:44 p.m., October 31st, 2016. Funny, but the article that he's referring to did not post until 45 minutes later. The article posted, the time of the post that Slate article hit was 45 minutes after Podesta's tweet. Yet Podesta is tweeting out as if he just read it in Slate. And he's leaving you the link. First of all, how did he get the link for the story 45 minutes before it even posted to their website? How did Podesta know that Slate was going to write a story about Trump having the secret email server that was communicating privately with the Russian Alpha Bank, which turned out to be bullshit? It turned out to be bullshit. Then, the rotten Reverend Clinton tweeted out at exactly the same exact time that the article posted on Slate. October 31st, 2016, 5:36 p.m. Rotten Reverend's tweet is the exact same time the article posted. 5:36 p.m., October 31st, 2016, 7 days before the election in November. And the Rotten Reverend tweeted, computer scientists have apparently uncovered a server linking the Trump organization to a Russian-based bank. Clearly, Hillary, the Rotten Reverend, and Podesta colluded with Slate. They knew that article was going to be written, because Slate was the one that wrote the first article on that. That was the people who broke that fake news story, which Podesta commented on and left a link for 45 minutes before it posted on their website. The Rotten Reverend tweeted it exactly the same time that it posted on their website. Will you be investigating that, Mr. Barr? Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Mr. Chairman. We'll see. I got to get me some bar glasses and work on my bar. I'm thinking we're going to need that. It's going to come in handy. Alrighty. Trump tweeting today, March 1st, yesterday for those of you watching this video today. Okay, whatever that means. Friday. Friday, Trump tweeted several tweets. Here's my... this is not the entire tweet exactly. This is essentially what he tweeted. Two things that stuck out to me. Number one, he tweeted out, and it was like a paragraph, but this was a couple of sentences in the paragraph. Is Crooked Hillary's lawyer, Lanny Davis, being paid by Crooked Hillary to represent Michael Cohen? Exactly the question that I asked just yesterday. Maybe Trump watched my video. Maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe he did. Or maybe he read the story from the same source I did, which tied these people together. Is Crooked Hillary's lawyer, Lanny Davis, being paid by Crooked Hillary to represent Michael Cohen? One thing I can tell you for sure is that in the hearings, Cohen was asked about Lanny Davis, and he says that Davis is representing him pro bono. My friends, I've been watching Lanny Davis since the early 90s. Lanny Davis was the guy they would send out on TV on Sunday mornings back when Clinton was president and back when Hillary was being, under investigation for the TowerGate scandal and and all the stuff that went on with Vince Foster and the disappearing records that disappeared from his office and somehow showed up in her closet a year later, and all those other things that were being... The Clintons were under massive investigation when they came into the White House. And the guy who they would send out I mean, it was funny. I mean, I remember sitting on my couch just watching Lanny Davis go on, hit all three of the Sunday morning programs. He'd go from one to the next, and just sit there and tell blatant lies. And you just knew he was lying. Even the panelists, who are all Democrats, liberals, Cokie Roberts and Sam Donaldson and the whole crew, they all knew he was lying his ass off, you know. And he was a bad liar. And you just watch him sitting there trying to defend the Clintons, which is very, very difficult to do, especially back in the early 90s. I mean, everybody knew all the stuff was true, you know. So watching Lanny Davis trying to defend the Clintons back in those days was hilarious because it was obvious. I mean, you could see, I mean, even, it was almost like sometimes he was looking to the TV like, look, I'm lying, you know I'm lying, but you can't prove I'm lying. Isn't this fun? I'm a lawyer, this is what we do. So, I mean, this guy was a clown back then, but he's always been very, very close with the Clintons, and especially a defender of the rotten Reverend Clinton. And you know the rotten Reverend is behind a lot of the things that are going on because she was the driving force behind it. She bought and paid for the dossier. She paid for the Carter Page FISA warrant, essentially. Do you think any other political candidate could have put together a plot like this, to put together a dossier like that, a bunch of garbage, and then have the ability to funnel it right into the FBI? Who else could have pulled off a stunt like that? Certainly you would need the FBI and DOJ cooperating, and the Obama administration, which they were. But it's not many people who could pull that off. So the rotten Reverend has a lot to hide, and a lot to be concerned about if the truth comes out. And so just imagine the way the rotten Reverend thinks. You know, you got Cohen, who Mueller's obviously got him by the short hairs, because now he's got Cohen's wife signing on to a fraudulent bank loan. He threatens Cohen, as we're being told, threatens Cohen that he'll throw his wife in jail forever. Where do you think that's coming from? The rotten Reverend's lawyers. Because who are the rotten Reverend's lawyers? They're working for Uncle Bob, the executioner. You ever heard of Jenny Rhee? She represented the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation. And she was one of the people who were part of that indictment against Cohen for the bank fraud. You see. So who do you think is paying Lanny Davis? I can assure you that Lanny Davis does not work for free. He does not work for pro bono. Why would Hillary Clinton's lawyer represent Michael Cohen for free? Come on, man. Oh, come on, man. This stuff isn't that hard. You know, a lot of times, in fact, most of the times, it's Occam's razor. Things generally are just as they appear to be. That's why people say to me, Mike, you know, why don't you look into Q? Why don't you look into this? And why don't you look into that? And why don't you read this and read that? And then, you know, and generally I do sometimes look at things, and I do think outside the box sometimes. Just about 99% of the time, I don't get blown off my trail and get taken down crazy roads that don't go anywhere, because I truly believe that things are almost always just about as exactly as they appear. Things are not really quite as tricky as they may seem. Lots of lawyers and lots of tricky people will come along and try to get you going in all sorts of different directions, try to drag you here and take you there and wind you around here and back. You know, and they have some motive and some personal motive for doing that. But most of the time, things are not, you know, there's not some massive crazy stuff going on a lot of the times to explain what looks obvious. Oh, yeah, I know it looks like this, but it's really this. No. 99% of the time, it is exactly what it looks like. If it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, if it barks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Trump also tweeted out, "The witch hunt must end now. The witch hunt must end now." Hey, did you know that Governor Northam's family owned 84 slaves? You do now. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. You guys have a good day. See you. Bye.